All right, so is everybody ready to talk about lead generation today?
Awesome. Yay. We all need help with that.
Of
Okay,
course, yeah.
so the objective here for lead generation is to equip agents with a systematic approach to generating leads, building relationships, and then leveraging their database to help them grow a successful real estate business. Um, so what is lead generation? So it's getting a consistent flow of prospects that are ready, willing, and able to do business now, or even to do business in the future. So we're building up that pipeline, and it's the lifeblood of the real estate business. So without leads, success is not attainable, right? So question for you guys, why do you think lead generation is such a critical part of the real estate business?
Relationships,
Yeah, yeah.
production, revenue. I mean, that's what leads to your goals, right?
If you don't have any leads, you don't have a business.
Absolutely, right, exactly. So, and it's, like any other profession that is built upon, a database and to have that database. So we're gonna talk quite a bit about database today. Um, so the lead gen model, has three key areas that we focus on, and the first is prospect and market. So how are we going to reach potential leads and get them into our network, get them into our lives, get them into our database? Setting up the database is the next key, and feeding it. So managing it and nurturing your contacts. And then the third key point is systematically marketing to the database. So consistent communication over time. So it's maintaining and strengthening those relationships, to generate future business. So we're gonna start with, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna start with, we're gonna start and talk about positioning. So, can you guys see that? See my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so you see the mind share, the positioning?
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry. We see just the folders.
okay, let me stop share. Let me share again. Now do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, so, um, so this is about a positioning battle. So, when we are looking to position ourselves in the minds of our leads, our contacts, our sphere of influence, we're looking to take the number one or the number two space, in their mind, such that when they think about real estate, they think about us. They think about the realtor. And, if you're not one or two, you're out. Like Gary says, if you're not in the one or two space, that you're out. And with that, I want to share an example, of the conversation that I had in a meeting the other day, in team meeting. We were talking about business, and when we were recognizing our top performers, asked, so tell me, where did this business come from, and how did you earn this lead, this client, and ultimately this closing. And one of the things Lindsay had shared is, one of her clients had mentioned to her, and she's not the only realtor that they use, yet one of her clients mentioned to her that they said, I see you everywhere. And I said, interesting. I said, Lindsay, I said, can I ask you a couple questions on that? And she said, sure. I said, how many billboards are you on? She's like, none. I said, okay, how many bus stop benches are you on? She said, none. I said, do you have a magnet on your car? No. Um, and so I was asking her all these questions. I said, so when they said they see you everywhere, where are they seeing you everywhere? She goes, Rebecca, I call them, I email them, I send them postcards, I send them this. And we're going to get into the that 36 touch model as we're moving on. Yet what it does is her marketing to her database, and her systematically marketing to them and communicating with them causes them to believe that they're seeing her everywhere when they're seeing her in their computer, in their mailbox, on their phone. And it caused them to believe that, you know what, this girl is everywhere and she's doing lots of business, and it put her in that number one space in her mind. So that is the whole purpose of the communication that we do with our database. So how do you think that consistent marketing and presence can affect your mind share, like with the local market? Do you have any-
How
Well,
can it affect? Go ahead, Brian, sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say the thing is even if you can only get to the second position, the second mind share position, we have a 30% attrition rate in the industry every year. So in any given year, you've got a 3 out of 10 chance that the other agent stops communicating, gets out of the business, or even that you just over communicate with that relationship to the point they go, is Sally even still selling real estate? I guess we should just call Rebecca. She's doing a bunch of stuff. Let's call her. So the thing about that, even being in number 2, it's really easy over time to get into number 1.
100%, 100%. And, you know, I was working years ago with, well, I had, connections, and I put them in my database, and they had the same realtor for years. And I ended up listing their home and helping them find another because they were on my back then 33 touch campaign, and their realtor that just knew that they were always going to be called didn't set them up. So she became number 2, 3, 4 in their mind, where I pushed myself up to number 1. So doesn't mean you can't push them out even if they don't get out of the business. But yeah, that's a great example, Brian. Okay. Okay, so as far as leads go, what is a lead? So in business, a lead's divided by somebody that is ready, willing, and able to do business. And the lead generation side of it is building and nurturing your database, looking for referrals, nurturing those relationships, and working towards converting them to clients, or creating the mind share so when they hear real estate, they think of you. What do you guys see? What is the difference between a lead and a contact?
I'm gonna say, if I remember from all of that, a lead or a contact is when you've had conversation back and forth. Correct?
Yep, engaging in two-way conversation.
Yeah, two-way conversation, yes. And I mean, to me, a lead is, you have a lead, but you haven't made that contact yet. I mean, you have a name of somebody.
And for me, a lead is someone that has the potential to have what I call FUM, FUM, financing, urgency, and motivation, FUM. Now, the lead generation process, lead needs analysis, is designed to get to the point where you know they have all 3 of those: financing, urgency, and motivation. But lead generation is, I have a need, and we're going to convert that through that FUM process.
Mhm.
I have mine's a little different, kind of the same. So for me, a contact is somebody that you have a conversation with about real estate, and then it's a two-way conversation, whether it's text, whatever it is, you just have to converse with them, something that has to do with real estate. A lead is somebody that raises their hand and says, I want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate this year. That's my definition of a lead.
Buy, sell, or invest.
Yep. And yeah, somebody has shown interest in your services, and then your job is to earn that relationship to have them use you for their services. So, perfect. Okay. So we're going to go into the first key area, which is prospecting and marketing. And I'll share the prospecting and marketing. So let me probably. Can you see that? That slide, or are you seeing my folder still?
No, the same thing happened with me when you think you're sharing and you don't. If you look further down, I think you can share a screen. I figured that out yesterday. There we go.
Yes, it's there.
On here now? Okay. Okay, so Prospecting is proactive and it's when you're looking, you're finding the leads. Marketing is when you're putting out efforts so that those leads find you. And the goal is to generate leads and move them into your inner circle. So I'm actually going to, sorry, I'm gonna try and get this one up because I want to focus on this slide instead. Okay. So there's 4 different types of groups of lead generation, that, we focus on. So there is the general public. This is, those who you have not met yet. So people who don't know you, you haven't met them, and you're gonna have to use a wide variety of different methods in order to reach them through prospecting and marketing. There's the target group. They're also your haven't met, but there's somebody that you've identified that they would be like your ideal candidates. This could be expireds, this could be for sale by owners, this could be the people at your church that you don't know, in different groups. And then there's the met group. These are people who you do know, and you've had a 2-way conversation with them. And then you have the allied resource group. That would be past clients, maybe professionals that you know, and who you expect to either do business with or you expect them to refer clients to you. And they can also be considered the core group. So with that, so there's different methods. Now, so when I share this sometimes with agents and when we're looking at it, I mean, I'll put it in a different perspective because if we look at like the general public as everybody in Bradenton and Manatee or everybody in Florida or whatever, I mean, it can be overwhelming. So, who here has a hobby? Like, what do you like to do outside of work?
Work.
Right? Okay.
What do you mean hobby?
Um, so let's just pretend for a moment, that Heather, you love to golf. Okay. So, we're going to use that analogy in this model. So in the golf world, the general public would be all the golfers in Manatee or Sarasota County that you haven't met. You could find a way where you're going to market to them. You're going to prospect, and identify all these golfers and market to them and put out ads and different things that you want to identify the golf community because it's something you love to do and people like to do business with people that have the same common interests. Then you go to the same, possibly like 1 or 2 golf courses each week. And that's where you spend your time, and you're golfing with these same people. I'm going back between Shannon and you guys. And you spend your time with these golfers, in these golf courses, but you don't know all of the people that golf there. So because you know Lakewood Ranch Country Club golf course, or Manatee Country Club golf course, those people there that you have not met yet are the targeted people, and those you can spend a little more effort on the people that you haven't met in those communities that you so much frequent that have the same interests as you in the same location as you, and you can look at them to target them for opportunity to become a contact, to become a potential lead. And then the ones that you've met. So these are the ones that you sit at the country club bar after you're done golfing and have a beer with, or you are paired up in a foursome because you're strategic when you go golfing and you either go by yourself or one other, and you don't request another couple for your foursome. You want strangers to be a part of that so you can earn more people in your haven't met target group to come into your met group, but there's people there that you know. And those people that are in your met group are in your database. You have their contact information. And then the allied resource or that core group are the ones that well, you golf with all the time. You always say, hey, after this 18 holes, I'm going to meet you here. We're going to go have, some nachos together or whatnot. And they know you're in real estate. They're supportive of you and you expect to earn business from them or those people that you know. Now, being purposeful about that is when with that core group that you do know, the allied resources, they're the ones because you intentionally see them often because you schedule golf play days or you schedule time with them to have a bite to eat or a drink or something after. You might see them outside of the golf course because you've gotten to know them well. You meet up with them and you invite them to other things. So if you have client events or you do something like that, you're purposefully bringing them into your world at different areas to solidify that relationship and continue to remind them that you're in real estate. So your role is to educate them. And by doing that, educating them, reminding them that you're in real estate. You're not just that you're in real estate, but you're really good at it and you have knowledge that you share and also that you really love referrals. Then you ask them for help and we train people how to treat us. So we let them know that if they come across anybody that they know that has an interest to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, we love referrals and now we teach them how to make that connection. So, Heather, when you come across somebody in your world that has an interest in real estate, the best way to get us connected is introduce us in a group text. So we have each other's contact information, but we can, address and thank you for making the connection. And then we can go off, and have our own two-way conversation outside of the group, but that's the best way to connect us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So training people how to treat us. And then rewards and then rewarding them. So you want to always reward the behavior, not the outcome of the referral. So when you do get a referral, when I get a referral from Heather, what system do I have in place to refer that? Now I have, one of my agents, up north, what he did every single time, he had a massive referral, system with his database. Every single time that he would receive a referral, he would immediately go online and send them M&M. And he would only send them one color of M&Ms, so it would spur a call. Like either he would just send them all red M&Ms or all blue M&Ms or all green M&Ms. And then he would follow up, reach out and say, hey, did you get the M&Ms and all that? But he wanted to reward them. And you get to a place where you want to treat the referral source better than the actual referral. So these are the four groups. They encompass the population of who you're going to be targeting. Absolutely everybody down to people you've identified that you want to get into your MET group, people that are in your MET group, and then your allied resources. That's your core group of people that you have one-on-one conversations with. Now, the second key area is setting up a database and feeding it. And so going
Hey,
through the,
Vaughn, can I comment on this slide before you
Yeah.
move to the slide? Okay. Because I actually like to talk about this slide a little differently. I'm very, very passionate about the slide. And I know they have the new funnel system and you can use both of them now. That's the difference between MREA and MREA 2. But I think where most agents get confused is especially when they're calling. So if you're talking the 12 direct specifically when they're like calling on the calls, they think they have to call and say, who do you know that wants to buy or sell real estate? And when you realize that most people live in their house for 7 to pushing on 9 years now is the average that somebody is going to be in a house, that is a lot of times we're asking people to have a phone call and say, are you ready to buy or sell a house? And I think we miss the point if we teach people to just do that and talk about who do you know that wants to buy. And I like to, when we're talking about the goal of this really isn't to get them to buy or sell a house. It's to get them to give you the referral, just like you said, with the M&Ms and the Starbucks and the whole bit. So it's really about the RAS. And I really like us to talk about the reticulating activating system because most people don't understand there's 60,000 bits of information coming at us at every single second. So we can't possibly take in all of the information coming at us. But if we train our MET specifically in our allied resources, that we're the person that can help them and anybody that they know, all of a sudden things that they did not hear, they're going to all of a sudden hear. And that's really the true point of the 12 touch and the 8x8, Lindsay, you're everywhere. It's because we're training them. Lindsay is everywhere so that we hear when we're standing in line at Starbucks, somebody, two people over say, I'm thinking about buying a house. And then we can say, hey, I've got a really awesome real estate agent for you, which is my 2 cents on this particular side.
Absolutely. Perfect. And thank you. And that's exactly it. And that's because the RAS is the mind share, right? It's positioning yourself in that mind. So when they're thinking that, when they're thinking real estate, they're thinking you and training them. And I'm not skipping over the 8x8, 33 touch, 12 direct, just that'll come into the marketing to your database conversation. But let me stop share here.
Rebecca, I was going to add that that RAS is the same way also for our agents. When we talk about profit share and we talk about who else do you know that can use a consultation like this, or who else do you know whose business is maybe not where it needs to be, we're teaching our agents to have their RAS on for hearing an agent go, yeah, this market sucks. Really? Well, let me get you to my team later. She's helped me solve problems with the market, and I'm sure she can do the same for you. Will you promise to take her call? So I think we have to remember that RAS conversation applies to us equally.
Yep. Yeah, in everything that we do. And that's, I'm gonna pull up another graphic here while we're talking. Ooh, maybe I'm not, maybe I don't have it. Okay, well, I'm not because I don't have it, so I'm gonna stop share. Okay. Well, and that's, wrapping up when we're all done here, how does this conversation and what we're teaching our agents how to create the mind share and activate the RAS with their clients and their contacts and their METs and their core group, how are we going to translate that in our own business with our agents and the contacts we have out there? So, okay, well, thank you guys for that. So the second key area is setting up a database and feeding it. So the size and quality of your database directly impacts the size of your business. So, and your database should include the names, the conversations, the notes that you've made, and treating your database as a quantifiable, sellable asset. So, I've been in real estate a really long time, and I've seen a lot of people exit this industry, throwing out their business cards, throwing out their signs, and that's all they have to show for it after 20 years in the business, 30 years in the business, whatever it is. And setting up your business, your business is your database. So setting up your business, which is your database, to be the note taker and not a digital Rolodex, is going to set you up for something that your legacy to sell and that in the future. So, and you put your leads from your METs and your haven't METs in there. So the people that you're contacting, you put it in there, and then you're always putting in what the communications and the methods that you're reaching out to them. You're looking for the new business from your haven't METs. You're looking for repeat and referral from your METs group. And so between all of us here, what systems are you currently using to manage your database?
I think we all should say command.
Yeah, I was about to say that. And at what level? I mean, are they on campaigns, or do we have them on any touch programs, or do we have follow-up systems in place?
If I were to speak for agents, there are a few. Most of our teams and groups don't, they only use it to get paid, right? So, that transition, we can't tell them what systems to use, right? Only show them the value that they have. But then we do have others that are using it, and I think some of them are more, recent in being able to roll out and communicate more how it can help them. So that's our 2 cents. That's my 2 cents speaking for the agents.
I think just to kind of piggyback on that, Elise, I think we should speak for ourselves to then speak for the agents, because we teach people how to act or what to do. And I think as a market center, we definitely could do a better job of having all of our agents set up on a 36 touch, where they're
I
getting
agree. Mhm.
getting not just the emails that we're sending out all the time or the
Mhm.
text messages about the classes and stuff, but truthfully, like a hey, we care about you 36 touch. Like I'll say, like, what we do well is we do really well with documenting the birthdays and the anniversaries. Like, I think we do okay with that. I still think we could do better at that 36 touch, because there's a difference between entrepreneurially doing it and purposefully doing it. And so I think if we really aren't seeing our agents do a good job, it might be that we're not doing a good job. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
No,
And I
that-
know that's hard. I'm pointing out myself when I say that, by the way.
Oh,
I don't disagree.
yeah, no, absolutely. And when I was going through this, I was like, okay, I'm teaching to leadership, and how we teach the agents, but yet what can we get out of this? So, setting up our database and feeding it. And then the third key is the systematically marketing to the database. So, real estate is a contact sport. And, as we're going through these next couple models, if we're doing it and we're modeling to our agents what needs to be done, let's talk about what this looks like. So,
Let me back up, because I'm going to actually talk about a call I had with Brad earlier today. So Brad and I had a call after our big call. And in the call, I said, if agents are calling us, that means we have failed, because we did not get the message out or whatever they needed in a way, because they're supposed to have everything they need without them even knowing that they need it, right? Like, this is how I ran my real estate business and that high level of customer service. And I said, one of the things that I think we stink at Inglewood is we're not calling our agents enough, because in the 36 touch, Jay Papazon talks about, when you're looking at what's important, the most important thing are the 4 phone calls. You make those 4 phone calls, that's like 80%. Like, you're talking about 80-20 rule. You're going to get the most amount of impact on that than all the emails and text messages and this, that, and the other. So if we're not picking up the phone and like inviting, like Brian says, the 1-to-1, where we pick up and invite them to real talk on tomorrow, or invite them to things, see them in the face and say, you'd be really good at coming to the success series. Let's come into it on Monday. Then we're failing
yeah.
in the 36 touch.
Well, right, I mean, because it's that personal touch, right? It's that intentional outreach rather than the set it and forget it emails and the postcards that, you mail out. And so,
Happy birthday on Facebook. I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong. We need to do those things, except for the ones that don't want it. But I think the side note on that is we miss the point if that's all we do.
yeah, right. If we're using systems to leverage our relationships, we're missing the point.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, so as we're, going through the systematically marketing and the models, so there's the 8x8. So that's 8 touches over 8 weeks. So let's say, somebody walks into, I get a lead, somebody from an open house, and I put them on the 8x8 system. And that's to establish rapport, remind them who you are, and try to earn the relationship for the 2-way conversation. So thinking about that in our leadership position, like when we're reaching out and having conversations with other realtors, or we didn't get the appointment, or we did get the appointment, we just didn't convert it. What kind of 8x8 system do you guys think would be effective in earning relationships with other agents in the marketplace? And think about this with clients that you meet. Is it just calls? I mean,
Well, I think it depends on how they like to communicate too. I think, so this is how I coach to it. I'll put it that way, because, if we're gonna have a real deep conversation or impact, it's got to be face to face, right? So if I were to turn my video off, you can still hear my voice, but you can't see what I'm doing. Like the impact between that is directly affected because it changes on that. And in the world we live in today, people don't answer the phone anymore. Like that's just kind of the reality of it, is the phone has almost changed what it's used for, to where it's a text message device more than a telephone device, if we're all being honest with what it is. And so as I'm having the conversation, how do you use the text messages where people are answering? Because most of my agents, their people are not answering the phone. Very rarely, even the ones that know and love them. So I've been having people do video text messages.
I've heard that that's really like the next level of
Way
getting.
better to like say whatever you're going to say on a video, send it in a text message. They can watch it whenever it's convenient for them. They don't have to answer it. It's better than a left voicemail because they see your face. And
Right.
interestingly enough, what they're saying is that those messages, they start feeling like they know them. Hey, Lindsay, you're everywhere, because they saw the video text message. So I think that it's a combination of how do we deal with the way society acts anymore and the way people like to communicate. Because we can send emails all day long, but if they don't like reading emails and just go delete, 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 they're not going to read it. It doesn't matter.
Well, and I think it also goes like, well, to your point, it's know your audience, right? I mean, because you've got the millennials that don't, well, sorry, I'm speaking for a couple of millennials on here, including Brian. But they're not checking their email. I know my kids are not checking their emails on a regular basis, you know?
Kennedy's not a millennial. You're not a millennial, are you, Kennedy?
No.
She's younger than a millennial, honey. Millennials are old people.
What is the next generation? What are you, Kennedy?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. You guys, other than work, does your generation typically, are you guys email people?
No, and I've actually found that out recently, email and Facebook. My generation, I made a Facebook that when I was, like 11 or 12, that's when that came out. And so that was all the hype or something like that. But so many people nowadays, especially when I'm onboarding these younger people, they don't have a Facebook and they don't check their emails.
Yeah. Are they on Instagram or TikTok instead of
They're
Facebook?
on Instagram and TikTok, but they just no longer have, because most people my age may not post the most on Facebook, but they at least have a Facebook account. But the younger Gen Zers and maybe even Gen Alpha, which is below me, they're not doing Facebook or email.
Yeah.
So
So,
it doesn't do any good to send them an email.
right, exactly.
They might be thinking we're communicating wonderfully,
Yeah,
and we suck because they're not reading it.
exactly. So, and the hardest part when you're in our position as leadership is if we're making a call and if we want to do follow-up, the phone call doesn't tell me how old this agent is, right? So I don't know if they're going to read an email or if they'd rather have a postcard or they'd rather have a text or a video message or connect on Facebook or connect on Instagram. So because we don't know, that means we've got a blanket everywhere. We have to cover all bases.
And don't forget, it's a 7-to-1 thing too. You've got to hit them 7 times before they even notice
Hear
what
you.
I said. So it's got to be 7 times of the way they like to communicate before
Exactly.
you notice it. So like, think about that times all the times you communicate it. And it's the same thing with our agents where, oh, well, we sent a message and we sent a text, but if it hadn't been 7 times, they didn't pay attention to it. If you didn't put it as a calendar invite in their phone, they didn't pay attention to it. And when we have classes and nobody shows up and this happens to us, it's because we didn't do a good job communicating the value of the class and why you would go to it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's how I look at it. I hold myself very accountable when I don't have enough people show up at my classes, because I know that was my fault.
right. It's a reflection of us, right? So yeah, I mean, so when you think about then earning that rapport, establishing that rapport with an 8x8, if we were putting it into that situation with the Asian population, it's got to be more than 8 times because we don't know. Maybe 8 times in Instagram, 8 times in Facebook, 8 times in text, 8 times in email, 8 times, so we've got to it gets bigger, it gets bigger, and, until you know your audience, or until you know who you're talking to and what method of communication is gonna work. And then same with the 36 touch. So this 36 touch for an agent is a 10-to-1 or a 16.6 rate of return.
You can just scratch out that.
I did.
Everyone just scratch it out because it's, and this even, 33 touch, and then it turned into 36, and now
What page
it's
is that
not.
on?
It's on 147.
147. And I think this is like, but this is what we have to understand as like, an office is this was what, 20 years ago? 20 years ago, you could get away with touching people 32 times. Today, you can't. 32 times, they don't even notice it. That's how fast our society has come.
Yeah, well, so when you think about that, you just said you have to reach out to agents, which are, what are agents? They're human beings, right? 7 times before they hear it once. So if we're doing a 36 touch, what's 7 times 5? They're not even hearing us. Until we're beyond what, 20, we still have like 20 touches left to go, and they just heard us the first time. If we're communicating with them in the method that they want to be communicated with. Yet when you establish that rapport from the 8x8, and then you put them into the 36 touch to get that, to work on getting that return. So, and what we were talking about that, I would love, because we've been talking about implementing a 36 touch, and we get some legs under us and then whatnot. I would love to have a CLC leadership. It could be like a morning, it could be an afternoon. I'm happy to do it on a weekend, where we sit down and we actually put together what that looks like. And it's
I
gonna,
agree. I'm gonna just like piggyback on that in a different scenario, because if you're talking, and on a side note, Brian, please give Holly the password for the Canva email. Thank you. Because my phone is blowing up. So anyway, going back to what is the most important thing in a 36 touch? Because I watched a thing that Jay did when he was talking about it, and he was like, this is the most important, this is most important, this is most important. If you don't do a full 36 touch, then you have to do these things. I believe in what's happening today, it's the client event. Because if you're going to have a chance to have the conversation like we're talking about, where you're making the biggest impact with them, it's got to be face to face. It's not going to happen over the phone like it used to. So the people that are doing these massive client events, like big ones every month, are truly the ones that they're selling the most amount of houses. Like, just pay a little bit of attention to it. It's happening. Most of the, even like when I get a new client, a lot of times they might do 2 or 3 client events. They're not doing enough as a team as it is. I believe if we're putting something on the 36 touch at market centers, we need to be planning more client events for the market centers, which we could do one in each market center. It doesn't have to be all of them. And start using, instead of having our vendor money, spent on other things, what if we had our vendor money spent where they're actually getting more business from it? You could have
Yeah.
a social event that invites people to it. Now your money just got worth something. Now the vendor money is worth something.
well, in the client event too, it's purposeful, right? And how many touches do you have with a client event? You have 8 before the event, and then you have the follow-up after. So it's the mass communication around the event, it's the event itself to get in front of them, and then it's the follow-up for those that couldn't
By
make
the way, it really doesn't matter if anybody shows up to their event. And trust me, that like actually hurts all of our, especially our high I agents out there. And they're like, "Ugh, people don't want to show up," but it doesn't really matter. What actually matters in a client event, and this is why when you have a client event as a market center, you have to teach them it's not about the event. And we actually don't really care if people show up. What we care about is that you made the calls before, gave them the whole save the date. You called them and told them about the event. You made sure they were at the event. And then you called them after and said, hey, really great to see you at the event. Or, oh, sorry, I missed you, but I have another event. Here's the date. And you just do those over and over and over, because now you're Lindsay, I see you everywhere.
Absolutely. And so my brain is like churning up.
See, I'm very passionate about this. I talk about this all the time with my clients.
I love it. Thank you. Because that was on here for client events. Then beyond the 36, 7,200 touches, you know, that to stay top of mind and create that mind share with your database is the 12 direct. So the 12 direct is for farming, for a demographic that you're trying to earn the relationship or earn the lead from. That is a 50 to 1 return. And I think it was in the MREA podcast, because it's not in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, I don't believe, but Gary says to start with 100. And when you've earned, start with 100 people in a farm, and when you've earned one piece of business, then you can add another 50 or another 100. Yet this is not all of a sudden I'm going to get business out of it. This is you need to be consistent over a length of time, at least 18 to 24 months, in order to start seeing results. And Heather, I don't know what you, do you coach on the 12 direct?
I coach so much on all of this, it's ridiculous, because I'm very, very passionate about this. So it's hard for me to like not butt in, because I just see so many mistakes made on this, like truthfully. And I always look at it as the haven't met doesn't mean you've never met them. It actually means maybe you met them at an open house, but you just don't know them. They can't, if you pick up the phone, they're gonna be like, Rebecca, who? And you tell them 2 things, and they're like, I don't remember, like kind of things. That's what a haven't met is. It does not mean that you've never seen them or talked to them. And the goal between everything that has to do with this is moving them from the outer circle into the inner circle. And I always describe that inner circle as the VIPs, whatever you want to call them. Those are your top 150 people. And that goes to Dunbar's rule, DUNBAR, Dunbar's rule. And what Dunbar's rule states is that you can only be in relationships with 150 people at any one time. So you have 150 people that you have a completely different touch and communication with, which, by the way, all of our market centers are under 150 people. So this shouldn't be hard for us, FYI. But you have it so they're at a completely different touch than everybody else, so that they will not the RAS again. They won't not send you a referral in this scenario. So these are the people that you're contacting. They're invited to everything. You have special events for them. Like when we're talking about the 36 touch, you have to look at the 36 touch and where are they in the circle to what part of the 36 touch they're in. Your Mets is that group of people that you're going to commit to doing the 76 touch to, and they're going to get invited to everything but the things that the inner circle gets to. And then the haven't met, like I said, don't mean you haven't met them. Like these are the people that say, I have 20,000 people in my database. Okay, most of those people are not actually in their Met database. They're actually in their haven't met database. So you have 2 separate databases, and people don't understand the difference because we don't do a good job describing the difference. Your Met database are the people that know you and like you and love you, and probably isn't going to be more than about 1,000 people. Can be more, and it depends on how big the team is. But there's also, then again, okay, see, now you're going to get me on a roll here, because you can't, if you do the time and the math, you can't call everyone when your database gets too big. This is why you have to have people on your team. You divide it up. You're calling these people, you're calling these people, and you're calling these people. Because guess what? Everybody has their own set of 150 people. So if you call somebody, Rebecca, and I call somebody, we could have 300 people in our database or our market center, and they're both were in relationships with them.
Yeah.
And sorry, like I said, I'm going off because I'm like, you asked me if I'm passionate about this, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, I know.
We're very
No.
passionate about this.
Another, beyond that, even then you get into what I call database segmentation, which is kind of what you're saying, which is to say you've got your A's, your B's, your C's, your D's. Your A's are your Met contacts that you have really great relationships, and they send you business every single year. The B's are the people that you have a great relationship, and we're training them to send you business. so that we're getting their RAS engaged. Your C are your current clients, the people who you're working with. And even though your C clients feel like they're down the list, if you have the conversation with them that, you're buying a house, and kind of like when you bought a blue car, you notice blue cars everywhere, in the next 30 to 45 days, and probably right after closing, you're probably going to hear a lot of people that are buying a house. It's like when you're getting married, everyone around you is talking about getting married because it's what your RAS is hearing. So you can position them to say, hey, you are in a position, a lot of my clients will send me at least one referral while we're in your pending contract stage. And then your Ds are you need their information for some reason, but you otherwise delete them. And they're your people that are kind of like that semi-unmet. You've met them, but you just don't get two-way communication with them. And at the top of that pyramid is the A pluses, and which would be the
Yeah.
center of that bullseye. And being able to get an A plus, if you get 500 names in an A database, that can be anywhere from 50 to 83. I know that the percentages have changed, but we were getting a 19.2% rate of return on our database, so I know it can still be done. But you got 50 in there. Then if you get 20 people that will send you, let's say, 4 leads a year, 1 a quarter, that's another 80 units. That's 130 to 150 units off of roughly 580 people. And when you do the math and realize your job is to go find 580 people that know you and think about you when someone thinks about buying, selling, or investing, or hears about real estate, this is pretty simple stuff. And agents overcomplicate it with all this other stuff, but it's the relationship business. It's the close contact business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm a little passionate about that also.
Yeah, no, and thank you. And that's what my goal was, is for this to be engaging. So, thank you for engaging and adding to it. So systematizing the lead generation and following the model, will help to create the consistent lead gen system that allows you to build the relationships and grow your business. So, but the key is consistency. To market your database time over time and being very consistent for long-term success, not short-term. And looking for that magic bullet that's going to get you a deal today when you're looking to set up a long-term career over the span of your business. And again, having a database, running a business, creating the data bank, and not just throwing names into a system that becomes a digital Rolodex. So what's one lead generation strategy from today that